Imagine for a moment you meet someone and everything seems perfect. You feel a deep, almost mystical connection. You say to yourself, "What if he's my soulmate?" But wait, what if it wasn't a gift from Allah, but a trial in disguise? Sometimes Allah sends you clear signs about a person, but do you really see them, or are you too blinded by your emotions? Before you make a choice that could change your destiny, watch this video to the end, because if you ignore these signs, you risk one day regretting having given your heart to the wrong person. 1. When your heart clings too fast. Is it a sign or an illusion? You know, there are times in life when your heart is suddenly struck by an irresistible attraction to a person. It's as if an invisible force is pulling you towards them. You say to yourself, "This is a rare connection, something special." But stop for a moment. What is really behind this feeling? A true sign from Allah, or an illusion designed to test your faith and emotions? Love is a divine blessing, a pure feeling when directed in the right direction, but it is also a test where it is easy to get carried away by feelings and forget the wisdom that Allah has placed in us. What you feel is not always what you should continue with. Allah, in His infinite wisdom, has endowed you with the ability to distinguish between illusions created by your emotions and true blessings. Imagine for a moment that you are chasing a pipe dream, convinced that it is real. This is what Shaitan often does. He blurs your judgment, and sometimes your heart races, deceiving you in the quest for ephemeral love. But Allah, in His great mercy, never abandons you to an illusion. He's sending you signs. These signs, often imperceptible, are there to remind you not to get lost in your passions. These passions, which, if not directed according to divine principles, risk leading you down a path of regret. Don't you sometimes see that becoming too quickly attached to a person can make you forget your relationship with Allah? Your heart, instead of opening more to Him, begins to fill with worldly concerns. You spend more time thinking about this person than cultivating your connection with the Creator. You neglect your prayers. You forget the moments of silent reflection. Does this bring you closer to Allah? The answer is obvious, no. But still, Allah extends His hand to you. He guides you through these subtle signs, through events in your life that show you that there is hidden danger in this rush. True love is not the one that consumes you and makes you lose your spiritual compass. The love of Allah and His authentic creation is the one that elevates your heart and soul. If your attachment to a person is making you forget Allah, then it is high time to take a break and think deeply. What you feel may be real, but you shouldn't let yourself be blinded by momentary emotions. Return to your faith, refocus on what is truly important, and let Allah light your path. This first section focuses on the idea that strong emotions, although they may seem real, are not always signs from Allah. Rather, they may be an attempt by Shaitan to distract you from your spiritual goal. The goal is to keep the viewer engaged by prompting them to reflect on their own emotional and spiritual journey. 2. Is your deen in danger? The ultimate test. One of the clearest signs Allah sends you to protect you from an unhealthy relationship is the impact that person has on your faith. There are times when you find yourself questioning your priorities, asking yourself, is this person bringing me closer to Allah or taking me away from Him? This is a question you should always ask yourself, because this is where the essence of your spiritual well-being lies. With every relationship, there is a silent but powerful test. Is your deen strengthened by this person or weakened? When you are near them, do you feel an elevation of your soul, a sincere return to Allah, or is it rather a relaxation, an all but sure distancing from your religious practices? Think about it for a moment. When you are with them, do your prayers become more sincere, more frequent, more anchored in, or, on the contrary, Do you forget them more and more? Does your connection to Allah become stronger or more fragile with each conversation, with each meeting? If you realize that your prayers are being neglected, that your heart is becoming heavier after each interaction, there should be a red flag. Allah will never unite you with someone who will destroy your bond with Him. If this person takes you away from your religious obligations, if they push you to justify your errors and accept behavior that you know is reproachable, then be careful. This is a clear warning that this relationship may not be Allah's plan for you. He wants someone for you who reminds you of His greatness, who encourages you to stay on the right path, Zrania, who pushes you to be a better version of yourself on a spiritual level, not someone who makes you forget your prayers or your moments of connection with Him. It is easy to get lost in the emotions of the heart, but true love is the one that brings you closer to Allah. The true companion of life never distances you from Him. On the contrary, they support you in your quest for His satisfaction. A person who reminds you of divine blessings, who inspires you to improve yourself spiritually. That is where the true essence of a blessed relationship lies. If this person is encouraging you to distance yourself from your Creator, then you know there is something wrong. The ultimate test in a relationship is not passion or emotional attachment, but rather the question, does this relationship bring me closer to Allah or further away from Him? This is a crucial question because deep down in every soul, the only thing that should be unshakable is your bond with Allah. Third, repeated signs you ignored until now. There are times when you ignore the obvious signs that Allah sends you, and sometimes these signs are not just an isolated warning, but repetitions, persistent alerts that you didn't want to see because you were too absorbed in your desires or your emotions. Maybe you've noticed changes in your environment, but you've chosen to ignore them. Perhaps your family, that source of wisdom and protection, is beginning to feel uncomfortable explaining to you that something is wrong with the person you are dating. Your pious friends, those who care about your spiritual well-being, warn you, advise you with kindness, but you do not pay attention to their words. And then there is this inner feeling, this inexplicable fear that slips into your heart for no apparent reason. But instead of stopping to think, you choose to continue as if nothing had happened. These are signs from Allah, divine warnings that do not always come loudly. Sometimes they are subtle but extremely powerful. When a door closes repeatedly, it is Allah who protects you from a future you cannot even imagine. It is not chance that everything seems to work out in this relationship. It is divine protection. These repeated closures, these unexpected obstacles, are signs that you should consider with particular attention. Many people, unfortunately, ignore the warnings, and most of life's mistakes come from this same behavior, ignoring divine signals. For what? Because they want to believe what they feel, what they see, without remembering that Allah's destiny is far greater and wiser than anything they could imagine. They forget that Allah, in His great wisdom, knows what is hidden in the future, what could harm their soul, what could destroy their relationship with Him. Maybe the door you're trying to open isn't the right one. Perhaps Allah, by His mercy, protects you from a difficult test, from a path that would divert you from your spiritual truth. The biggest mistakes in life don't always come from making bad choices, but often from neglecting the signs of protection that Allah sends us. You must understand that these signs, even if they seem harmless or insignificant at first, are gestures of love from Allah. He wants to protect you from harm, from pain, and above all, from suffering that could affect your relationship with Him. Do not let the emotions dictated by your temporary desires overshadow the light of truth. Take a moment to think deeply. Listen to what Allah is trying to tell you through the voices of those who love you and the echoes in your heart. 4. The gentleness of Allah in detachment. Why He sometimes distances you. You fought, you prayed with all your heart, you insisted again and again, but despite all your efforts, this person seems to move away, or the situation keeps getting more complicated. So you ask yourself, why? Why, after so much pleading, after giving everything, nothing happens? At this very moment, you might believe that Allah is not listening to you, or that your call remains unanswered. Yet Allah's silence is not a rejection, but a response far gentler and wiser than you could imagine. It's easy to become overwhelmed with frustration and wonder why Allah seems to close the doors. But have you considered that this silence is a form of divine protection? That when Allah distances you from something or someone, it is often because He sees what you do not see. In His infinite wisdom, He knows what is good for you and what could, if you hold on too hard, break your heart or distance you from Him. Allah, through His mercy, knows that some relationships, however desired, can be a source of future pain. It is an act of gentle protection, a gesture of divine love when He distances you from what could damage you internally. What seems like a disappointment in the moment is actually a gift, an immeasurable love from Allah, watching over you. The beauty of this ordeal lies in the trust you can place in Allah, even when you do not immediately understand His reasons. It's easy to feel rejected or abandoned when things don't go the way you want them to, but what is written for you will come to you with ease and at the right time. What is not for you will never cling to your life, no matter how much you force, how hard you try. This does not mean that Allah has left you alone. It means that what He has in store for you is more beautiful and greater than what you desire. Now, He protects you from what could harm your heart, your inner peace, and your connection with Him. In these moments of detachment, remember that Allah does not take away what is good for you. He takes you away from what does not belong to you, and although this may be difficult to understand at the time, it testifies to His great wisdom and His deep kindness towards you. Sometimes the true gentleness of Allah is found in detachment. It is in these moments that you learn to trust, to put your life in His hands, and to know that He is preparing something much more beautiful for you. 5. The ultimate test: inner peace or permanent doubt. You know, sometimes in life, we are faced with choices that seem to escape us. A relationship, a person, a situation that seems perfect on the outside but causes turmoil inside. You pray, you adore, you seek guidance from Allah, but despite this, the heaviness persists. This discomfort you feel deep in your heart is not a coincidence. It is a subtle but clear response from Allah. Allah, in His infinite wisdom, never guides a relationship that He does not want you to go into. If, despite your sincere efforts, you feel constantly plagued by uncertainty, if every prayer, every supplication seems to leave you with more questions than before, then it is time to listen to that uneasiness. It is not just a simple doubt, but an invitation from Allah to pause, to examine the situation with a deeper look. Constant uncertainty is rarely a sign of an open path. Allah tells you through these torments to slow down, to think about the direction in which you are going. The true sign of Allah, the one that must be sought in all situations of your life, is inner peace. When it is the right thing, your heart finds calm. It's like a veil of tranquility that covers your soul, a sweet peace that allows you to breathe serenely, even in uncertainty. It is a peace that goes beyond words, a deep feeling that everything is going in the right direction, that you are aligned with divine will. But when it is not the right path, Allah shows you the truth through torments, persistent doubts, confused thoughts that do not disappear. These torments are there to guide you. Don't ignore them. Allah protects you by alerting you to what could distract you from the peace He desires for you. If your heart is filled with confusion, if you constantly feel an inner struggle, it is not a simple incident. It is a divine sign telling you that perhaps it is time to walk away. Remember that Allah's guidance is always gentle and clear. Inner peace is a sign that Allah has guided you towards what is right for you. When you are in harmony with divine will, your heart calms down, even in times of difficulty. But if you miss this peace, take a moment to stop and think, is this relationship really in line with what Allah wants for you? Uncertainty, doubts, and confusion are not part of the peace that Allah desires for His believers. When you face an important decision, let Allah guide your heart and pay attention to how your soul reacts. Let peace, not doubts, be your guide. Finding the right person is not a game of chance, it is a test, a path strewn with signs that Allah places before you. Now you have a choice. Ignore these warnings or understand them so as not to fall into the dunya trap. If this video helped you, share it with someone who needs it. And above all, leave a comment. Have you ever felt like Allah was testing you through a relationship? Your experience can inspire and guide other souls in search of truth. And remember, what is truly meant for you will come with peace and ease. Do not run after what Allah is trying to take away from you.